Steph. Call this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll council. All council members are present. We did have an amended agenda that was presented this evening. We have several things that we'll be removing from the agenda under reports and presentations. Item C, the feasibility report, and then also the action items that follow that, which are action items E, F, and G, will be removed. We'll have that at the next meeting. I'm assuming that will be on the agenda. Any other changes to the agenda? Is there a motion to approve the amended agenda?
Second.
Motion by Keith and seconded by Dave. Is there any discussion? Call the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 5 in favor and none against. Moving on to our minutes from our August 21st meeting. Is there any corrections or additions to the minutes as presented in the packet? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
Second.
Motion by Keith, seconded by Dave. Is there any discussion? I'll call the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 5 in favor, none against. At this time is our public open forum. Is anybody here who wishes to address the council? See nobody here. We'll move right on. Yeah. Reports and presentations. Park board report. Vicki?
Okay, the park board met last night for their regular meeting, and they had a report from the campground attendant, said the reservations and the occupancy is doing very well in the campground, and they also had some recommendations on improvements that we could make in the way we do reservations and in some upgrades to the campground. And we also had some discussion on the fish cleaning house again, and they have a recommendation that the fish house gets closed at 9 p.m. and then reopened again like at 7 a.m. because they're having some issues with during the night, and the grinders are going at midnight, and they go back in, and you know, it's not necessarily campers, but people that are traveling through that use it. So there will be a closure in the fish cleaning house like at 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. and hopefully that'll take care of that issue that we're having.
You might just have fish cleaning on top of picnic tables.
That's possible, and that's one of the things we're going to watch out for. But the grinders are quite loud, and with the campers that are right next to them, it kind of is creating some problems. Did you have any other comments on that, or I can just keep going? They did receive the summer rec annual report that we get from the school, and so we did have that report, which was brought in on time. We're supposed to have it by the end of August, so we did have it for the meeting. We had a couple action items. They had a request for a park road closure for a 5K beer run. That'll actually be on the city council's agenda at the next meeting. And they had some requests for some refunds, which were outside of our normal refund policy, which was denied. They have a recommendation about a lawnmower purchase, and that's on your agenda to go to committee later this evening. And they did review the numbers for the figure skating program, and they will be offering it again this year. Other than that, they had some discussions on internet expansion, the 2013 project, and also the splash pad. And they have some new business items that have come up for their request. It's a continued request, I guess, for the paving of that circle down at the bottom of the campground. And then they'll be looking at the fee schedule and the meeting time and date for 2014, but that'll be coming up on a future agenda. So you can kind of see the types of things that the park board's been working on. They just have a couple items on your agenda tonight, which well, I guess actually just one item, which would be to send the lawnmower purchase to the committee for consideration. Does anybody have any questions about the park board?
Is there any consideration for the reservations for online?
We had talked about online reservations in the past. They haven't talked about them recently, but with our new website, we may have some of that capability. We are looking at the possibility of using credit card only for when they make reservations, because people right now, they can send in a check, and if they don't send the check and they don't show up, we've lost the opportunity to rent out the site. So we're looking more on that than straight online reservations. Not that that's outside of it, but the capability of doing it, it's a purchase service that we have to do that then, of course, would cut into their income, I guess, was part of their concern on doing online. It may increase the reservations too, so it's kind of a wash.
Well, you can always add a handling charge to cover any expenses.
Yes, I understand.
So I mean, as we look at the city's website, this becomes another thing to consider when we are, how can we make that more versatile? How can we make that service community more? And so I would encourage that be added to that process.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions in regards to Vicky's park board report? Thank you, Vicky. EDA report?
The EDA met today at noon in the conference room. It was a regularly scheduled meeting. It was a short meeting. They just had some discussion on some unfinished business. They are working on a potential redevelopment, which is actually, we're thinking about or doing some fact-finding on the Silver Fir property. We'll have the TIF closeout review is due on October 1st, and I've been talking with Northland Strategies on that, so they'll have some recommendations or at least some educational information for the EDA and the City Council after that date. And then we have that continued south of the freeway development, kind of the concept stage of how we develop that property south there for industrial purposes. So they had no action items. It was just kind of ongoing discussion, and so that we're all on the same page type of thing. But I don't have anything for the City Council tonight on that.
Okay. Any questions in regards to the EDA report? No. All right. Thank you, Vicki. Well, we'll go right into our action items then. Action item 7A, approve resolution 2013-60, approving the preliminary 2014 budget.
You have the resolution adopting the preliminary budget. You'll see that all the line items there on the resolution on page 16 and 17, those are the totals for each account and fund as you recommended at the budget workshop. We made those few changes that we had. We had some training changes and some truck inspection changes, and we had the interest change on the hospital loan, and I think there was one other thing. And so those items were all added to the budget, and these are the final numbers that we had come up with the totals. And so we're recommending that the City Council approve Resolution 2013-60, adopting the preliminary 2014 expense and revenue budgets for the city.
Any questions of staff? This is a follow-up from our budget workshop, which we just had last week. So I'll be looking for a motion to approve Resolution 2013-60, adopting the 2014 preliminary budget for all funds and departments, as noted.
So moved.
Motion
Second.
by Warren, seconded by Dave. Any discussion? I would just note that the preliminary budget at this point shows another very hard-worked financial budget for the City of Sauk Centre and does not require any additional increase in our tax increment funding. So our City of Sauk Centre taxes will again remain consistent as it has been for the last 7 years. So thank you to staff and council. With that, is there any other comments? Call the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. 5 in favor, none against. And the final budget will come back to the council in December.
Correct.
For adoption. Moving on to action item 7B, approve resolution 2013-61, approving the preliminary 2013 property tax levy.
Brad just kind of gave the staff report on that when he talked about the levy. The levy that is proposed for this year to support the budget that you just adopted, the total levy for 2013 collectible in 14 remains the same at $1,504,142. It includes a levy for the general fund, the library, the EDA, the airport, the senior center, and 3 debt service funds and 1 certificate for a fire tanker. So that those all total together equals $1,504,142. And that's resolution 2013-61.
Any questions of staff? Is there a motion to adopt resolution 2013-61, adopting the preliminary 2013 property tax levy collectible in 2014?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Warren, seconded by Dave. Any discussion? I'll call the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. 5 in favor, none against. Thank you. Moving on to 7C, approve Resolution 2013-62, setting date for public meeting. Vicki?
This is as part of the public process. You know, we hold a public meeting, and there were years when you didn't and years when you did, and sometimes they called it Truth and Taxation, and then it was a public meeting. It's actually back to be called Truth and Taxation again. The City Council is required to adopt the budget at a public meeting where the public has the opportunity to comment. Because the levy that you just adopted now will be applied to everyone's values, and everybody will get a letter in the mail saying what this levy means to them specifically on their property, and they're invited to come into this meeting. So we're recommending that the meeting be set along with the first regular December City Council meeting on December 4th. And that way, if the meeting needs to be continued, if the public brings up some things that you want to consider, then you have one more meeting in the month to which to adopt that. So we're recommending December 4th, 2013 as the date that we'll publicly discuss and allow the public to be heard.
Any questions of staff? Is there a motion then to approve Resolution 2013-62, scheduling the December 4th, 2013 as the date the council will publicly discuss the budget and allow the public to be heard?
So moved.
Motion by Keith,
Second.
second by Dave. Any discussion? Call the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. 5 in favor, none against. Okay, moving on to item D, approve resolution 2013-63, calling for public hearing on proposed assessments for unpaid city and utility service charges. Wait.
You do have it in your packet on pages 25 and 26. It's a listing of basically bills that we have sent to people for services that remain unpaid, and at the end of the year, they would get certified to their property taxes. They're a combination of lot maintenance, where we have to have someone's property lawn mowed. There's some snow removal for some sidewalk work last winter. There's a delinquent utility bill that we collect on behalf of the public utility for water, sewer, and electric. And I think that's the total of it. It's basically snow, utility, and lawn care. And so what we're asking tonight is to call the public hearing to set the meeting for the first meeting in October, which is October 2nd. All these people will be sent notification. They'll have the right to come into the public hearing. And then once the city adopts that, then they have 30 days to appeal it. So we're trying to work the timeline here so we can still get this to the county in November for inclusion on the property taxes. And so all we're asking you tonight is to approve the resolution calling for the hearing for October 2nd.
Any questions? We do this yearly, so this is not uncommon. It's a annual thing. So. Any questions? No. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 2013-63, calling for a public hearing on proposed assessments for unpaid city and utility service charges?
So moved.
Motion by Dave. Second by Keith. Okay. Call for discussion? No discussion? I'll call the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. 5 in favor, none against. These notices will be mailed out soon.
Yes.
Thank you. Moving on to H then, approved driver for ambulance department. It's page 34 of the packet.
The ambulance director, Kathy Strufert, she's requested that the city add Andrea Kerfeld to the roster of the ambulance department as a driver. She'd be available for backup with both day shifts, evenings, and weekends, and she is able to commit to monthly meetings. We have two EMTs are returning to teaching positions, so that's some of our availability. We have utilized fire department members in the past as drivers for the department, and the established rate of pay for drivers for the department is $10 per hour. And so her request is to approve the appointment of fire department member Andrea Kerfeld as a driver for the Sauk Center Ambulance Department at a rate of $10 per hour.
Any questions of staff? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve Andrea appointment approve appointment of Fire Department member Andrea Kerfeld as the driver for the Sauk Center Ambulance Department at a rate of $10 per hour.
So moved.
Motion
Second.
by Warren, seconded by Dave. Is there any discussion? I'll call the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. 5 in favor, none against. Moving on to I, approve Stearns County prosecution contract 2014 and 15.
This is, as you know, we utilize Stearns County Attorney's Office for the prosecution for the police department. This is not for the city civil prosecutions, which would be the city attorney. We have had this agreement for prosecution services, I believe since 2004. So it's worked very well. The price has gone in the earlier years from $33.5 down for a few years. Then for 9, 10, and 11 and 12, or no, 10, 11, 12, and 13, it was $27.5, and now they're proposing for 2 years to go down to $22.5. So we keep going down, which is a little unusual. But the Stearns County is proposing that price of $22.5 for 2014 and 2015. And I did include the agreement in your packet, so you can kind of see what the agreement looks like. And it remains pretty much the same every year. So if anybody has any questions on that, otherwise we're requesting approval to enter into that contract.
Any questions of staff? I just want to note that in Janelle Kendall's letter, I found it interesting that it says prosecution files in your community have decreased over the past few years. That's great. That means we're doing a lot of preventative law enforcement, and our officers are definitely out there. Although I look at the ICR numbers and I would have anticipated that to be up, but obviously things are going in the right direction. So that's great. Any questions? Otherwise, is there a motion to approve the agreement for prosecution services with Stearns County Attorney's Office for 2014 and 2015 at $22,500 per year?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Keith. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Dave. Is there any discussion? I'll call the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. 5 in favor. We'll move on to unfinished business. Item 8A, no parking Linden Lane. Vicki?
We had that discussion at the last city council meeting, at which time it was tabled, and at the time I did the packet, I hadn't had the opportunity yet to get together with the homeowner, but the owner of the gas mart was aware of it because they'd seen it on YouTube, or somebody had mentioned it to them, and so the employees were parking up by the building. But since I did the packet, now I've noticed they're parking back on the street. So it is a public street. I mean, the only thing that makes it different is you've got residential and you've got commercial where they're together, and how do you balance that? So we really don't have a recommendation tonight for it. It's just kind of an ongoing discussion that we're having, unless you want to take some kind of action on that.
So your intent is still to reach out and talk with the homeowner?
I would like them to resolve it between themselves, if that's possible, for the city to start, designating where can be parked and not parked.
Right.
Like I said, the one thing, we have commercial versus residential here. That makes it a little different than some areas, but you're kind of walking a line there when you start doing that. So I wanted to be sure before we go forward.
Right. I believe in our last meeting, our action was you were going to reach out and try and see if they would be able to communicate with each other
Right.
to work it out. So we have to do that yet, right?
Yeah, I've reached out to her, but I've not had a call back.
Okay, thank you. Any questions in regards to the Linden Lane issue? I don't think we're at a point yet to make any action based on the discussions. So we can we'll move on to the definition of setbacks. Vicki?
If you recall, a couple meetings ago, the Planning Commission had presented an ordinance redefining setbacks, and that was tabled and sent back to them, and they'll be having that on their agenda. I just wanted you to be aware that we hadn't just tossed that idea, that we're still working on it. It will come back to you.
Very good, thank you. Okay, moving on then to new business, replacement of John Deere 1435. I believe Vicki's looking for the council to move that discussion onto the operations.
Right, the park board actually just reviewed it last night, and
Okay.
they said, yes, they're ready to move forward with that, and I want to bring it to the city council to go on the operations committee, which we're trying to put that meeting together for Tuesday. we have a few other items like that we need to bring back before the council, so.
Okay, so for informational purposes, that will go to the Operations Committee for their review.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on then to the consent agenda. We have 3 things on our consent agenda this evening. We have our schedule of claims. We have unpaid claims of $162,346.14 and paid claims of $37,694.94 for a total of $200,041.08. We also had donations from the men's card playing group of $236.02 and the Lions Club for $585.91 to be used for the outdoor skating rink, and then of course the men's card playing groups to the senior center. So I certainly want to thank those for their contributions. And we also have on our general consent items is the chamber would like to request road closure for the Run Your Socks Off on Saturday, September 14th from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. The roads are 5th Street North, Main Street North, and Lakeshore Drive circling past the Country Club. The route will start and finish in the same spot. One side of the road will be kept clear at all times for incoming and outgoing ambulance, etc. Any questions in regard to the consent agenda?
Just clarifying, one side of the road of all the roads?
On the 5th Street, but
Just
they'll have,
5th Street.
they're planning on utilizing just doing on half the road, so we're not actually impeding
Okay.
all the traffic. And this is the 2nd or 3rd year. This is the 2nd year. I think they did this last year as well.
Thank you for the clarification. Any other questions? None? Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Motion by Warren, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Is there any discussion? Call the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. 5 in favor, none against. Okay, moving on. We have our informational items. This evening, we have one informational item on the agenda. That's the 2013 Fall Cleanup Day for the City of Sauk Center. It is Friday, September 20th, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., and Saturday, September 21st, 8 a.m. to noon. Drop-off site is located at the Sauk Center Civic Arena parking lot at 818 Center Street. The City of Sauk Center is offering free disposal of the following items for city residents: refrigerators, freezers. Please remove your doors, washers, dryers, stoves, air conditioners, microwaves, dehumidifiers, furnaces, humidifiers, and water heaters, computer towers, copiers, laptops, printers, and of course scrap metal car batteries. Just to note, computer monitors and TVs will be accepted for a fee, $10 fee per item. Absolutely no RV refrigerators.
That's for Keith. I did have one, Keith is here tonight, Keith Yap, they're doing some final work on the 4th Street project. I don't know if you wanted to give an update or if you guys had any questions for that before you jump into adjourn.
Okay, Keith?
I had a quick question about the cleanup.
Yep.
I didn't see anything about paints and whatnot. There's nothing available for that?
That's the one that happens in June, the hazardous waste one.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
All right. Well, I don't have too much report. They're actually doing seeding and stuff on the second phase right now. So we're nearly complete with everything for this year. So it's pretty much getting buttoned up, and then all it'll be till next year will be if there's anything to grow, those kinds of things, as well as the final workhorse mix. So that'll be it. Project will be done.
Keith, in regards to the seeding, are they hydro seeding or are they just grass?
There's hydro mulching, seeding, and hydro
Okay.
mulch.
So they're hydro mulch, seed combined.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And when do they anticipate to have that portion of it done?
It should probably take a couple days, and that should be complete. So it should be pretty soon. Yeah. I know somebody working out there right now as we drove in, so working somewhat late and trying to get her done.
Okay.
Yep.
Are there any questions for Keith?
Other just Pendergrass, just, that report's actually done and ready to come to you next time already.
Okay.
The Oak Street was just a little too quick to get on this one, but we'll have it for the next meeting. for that one. And then we'll just have the numbers to get the assessments all set for the 4th Street project. So that'll be for the next time and be all ready for that. But it looks like that job will come in just a little under the contract amount is where we're projecting at this point.
Good. All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, that is all we have for our agenda tonight. I want to just inform the council. I was going to announce that I have made the decision officially yesterday that I will be running, is my intent to run for Stearns County Commissioner District 5 for Don Ottie's seat. So I want to inform the council as well as staff that I will be seeking that. And so if anybody has any questions, they certainly know they can talk to me about that. But with that, I have nothing else on the agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So, second.
Motion by Keith, seconded by Mike. Called motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.